So I thought I'd come down here and pick up my Bosch motor from Performance Line Bearings and have a chat to Pete. Now, Pete, this is an amazing space. I mean, last time I came down to see you were in a garden shed. So, come on, what's the history? I mean, how did you start in this business?
Well, basically, I had my own e-bike.
Yep.
And one of the bearings went in the motor.
Yeah, yeah.
And being a mechanical engineer, I decided to change it. It wasn't a problem. So I took the motor apart, pulled the bearing out, took the number off it, bought a bearing, and it didn't fit, and I couldn't work out why. It turned out that Bosch had modified this bearing, so I thought, well, I'll get one made. Unfortunately, couldn't get just one made, so I had to make 1,000. I was just starting another business.
You made 1,000?
1,000 bearings.
1,000 bearings.
Which I thought, I'm starting another business, so I'll just put those on eBay or something, and other people who have my problem can just buy the bearings.
Yeah, of course, as you do, yeah.
I was not interested in really going down the e-bike route. So I fixed my bike and I was quite happy, and I started selling the bearings, and people were asking me for more bearings and more parts, and it kind of just started to snowball. My other business that I was starting to take more of a back seat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of then shifted over to the bearing side, because e-bikes for me is a lot more interesting than what I was trying to do. So yeah, it just went from there really, and you know, the e-bike started growing and growing. I found e-bikes a lot more interesting, so I started buying more bearings.
And how long ago was that you started out?
This is about 2.5, 3 years ago now. So.
Is that all? 2.5, 3 years ago, and you've come in 2.5, 3 years. You've come to this.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
The bank manager's been quite chuffed with us. No, we decided we were the first people in the world to do this.
Wow.
And obviously there's a couple of people coming on board now, but they tend to only stick to 1 or 2 motors, whereas we do quite a range of motors.
So you started in your garden shed, and how many motors a week were you doing from your garden shed?
Yeah, it got up to, we were doing about 20 or 30 motors a week in the shed.
Wow.
Repairing them, plus also selling the bearings and the parts.
Yes, of course.
So the workload was getting more and more.
Yeah. So once the floor started creaking in the garden shed, you thought maybe I ought to move out into somewhere.
Once we were stood in there like that.
No room for any parts, and no room for any more parts in the house.
Well, yeah, the house was pretty full. The garage was full. The neighbours were starting to get a bit twitchy about all the delivery vans coming and going. So we really decided. We came out of there like a champagne cork. It was just,
I can imagine.
So, yeah, we looked for a bigger unit.
And how long have you been here then?
We've only been here 2 or 3 months. It's an ongoing project at the moment. So
well, it's looking, for 2 or 3 months, it's looking pretty damn impressive.
Saturdays and Sundays is building or painting or doing something other than bearings. But
well, it's nice to see you've got this far in that time. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, we've taken on Dave.
I've seen Dave's been around helping you out.
He's another engineer who I've worked with for the last, must be 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
We've known each other for forever.
Oh, that's excellent.
I know he's a good guy. He's a good worker.
Yeah.
He's got the knowledge that I was looking for, and fortunately he works with mates rates. So it's all worked out really well. Okay. The wife's on board now. We've just taken on another young girl.
Oh wow!
For the admin.
Yeah.
So
where does your business come from? I mean, is it all from the UK or is it?
No, surprisingly, 80% of our business is from abroad.
80%?
We do an awful lot in Europe. Just purely because their markets are huge over there.
Yes.
The UK e-bike market is not that big.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's grown a lot in the past 8 months, but of course, all these motors are still under warranty. So you're not going to be seeing that for a couple of years, are you?
No, and at the moment, I mean, we had about 1 million e-bikes in this country as opposed to 5 million in Germany.
Right. And of course, those motors will be coming out of warranty, and you're focusing on motors that are out of warranty, of course.
Yeah, we do get asked the occasional time, can you fix my motor that's in warranty, because they don't want to wait for the turnaround times, etc.
Right.
But it's really not a good thing to do.
So turnaround time, I mean, let's say my motor goes wrong, I call you up. What's the procedure? Do I have to take the motor out? Or do I send the bike to you?
Yeah, I mean, initially on turnaround time, it has been really, really important for us to turn the motors around as fast as humanly possible.
Right, okay.
I thought it was a leisure industry thing, and I thought people wouldn't mind if I took a few days to do the motor. But it appears living without your bike is not possible.
No, definitely not.
So we really, really tried to keep it under a week.
Yeah.
We were doing it within a couple of 2 or 3 days, but what takes most time is when we have to contact the customer to let them know what's the matter with the motor, and that turn and fro stalls it a little bit. But we still generally do it within a week. We try as hard as we can.
Right.
It's normally 2 to 3 days still.
So would you like customers to take the motors out and send you the motor, or do you take the whole bike?
It's normally easiest. We do get a lot of people come down. We've got a few bikes in the rack at the moment where they're happy to leave the bike with us. If they pre-book, we can do it while they wait. Which is
you can do it while they wait.
Yeah, which is obviously as fast as they can.
That's impressive.
Possibly have it.
Yeah.
But like I say, we do need a bit of pre-warning for that one.
Yeah.
But mostly people send their motors in, and people get very precious about their motors as soon as it's out of the bike and then leaving them. Sadly, they box their motors to death, and when we get them, it takes us about half an hour to cut into all the packaging. And then when they get it back, they put it in their bike and then throw it down a mountain. No, the motors travel very well. They don't, they don't suffer much damage. And they, like I say, they come in from all over the world.
Okay, so which motors can you repair? Which can't you? Are there any you can't repair?
There's none that we found that we can't repair other than the Shimano E6000, only because it's all the mechanics are buried underneath the circuit board, and that's all soldered in a very particular way that's quite nasty. So most of them we can do. There's some we steer clear of. We don't at the moment. Currently, we don't do sort of like the Chinese motors.
Right. The fans, presumably.
Yeah. Again, we can do them. We can do hub motors. We've done them all, but we generally tend to stick to the favourites. So we have the Bosch, Bros, Yamaha, Impulse for the Kalkoff. We do a few Panasonics. So that's our mainstay. We are introducing a lot more. There's a lot more in the wings at the moment. We're having a new website built and everything.
Oh, excellent. Now, I do remember seeing somewhere that you couldn't repair the whole of a Bros motor. There was some parts in it which you couldn't repair.
Yeah, that kept us guessing for a while. We had to make some special tools and everything, but we can now do the electric motor side as well.
Right.
So we can get the planetary gears apart. We can replace the bearings in there. And I'll be honest with you, that wasn't easy. It took us nearly a year to stop breaking Bros motors apart when we were trying to take them apart, but we got there in the end.
I'm stunned by how many spares you've got.
Yeah.
Because on the spare side, you're not just buying spares, are you?
No,
you're buying whole motors.
We can't actually buy spares, unfortunately. It's a really awkward situation. None of the motor manufacturers will sell spares or bearings or anything for their motors. Bosch is the only one that will sell the service kit. Which is a big help for people. Right. But none of the others. So what we have to do basically is buy new motors and strip them down for parts. Wow. And that's a horrendously expensive way of doing it.
It is, but it's the only option.
It is at the moment. That's what we're doing. Obviously, if we get second-hand parts as well, if we get motors that are right off in one area, there's always parts that we can salvage from another. And it's nice to, that eco thing. It's no good riding a bike and just taking things and throwing them in the bin.
Away.
So we try and upcycle and recycle as much as we can.
Have you ever had motors that you can't repair?
Yeah, we get quite a few. Especially when it's water damage, when they've got so much water in them that it's shorted out the circuit boards and everything, it's more or less game over.
And what proportion of motors are you talking about that you can't repair? Really?
We have about a 70% success rate if they've been completely full of water at some point or another, or it's been sloshing around in there enough to get everywhere. If the motor has been opened up and then reclosed and sent to us, it's a bit of a problem because introducing the fresh oxygen makes it all oxidise in there, and we just get a big ball of rust and furry stuff.
So at which point should I start thinking about, okay, time to send it to Pete?
To be honest, if you can hear the bearings while you're riding along, it's too late.
Right,
It's
okay.
already costing you money. Every pedal turn is
Yeah,
costing you money.
yeah.
Some of the motors, if the bearings get bad enough, they actually start to damage themselves internally, mechanically. So, you know, you're looking at gears, circuit boards, things like that.
Yeah,
Some of the
yeah.
parts aren't replaceable.
Yeah.
So you can.
I'm almost thinking now that I should be maybe getting my motor off to you once a year, even just for a once over, check the bearings and so on.
We would love it to, you know, love people to do that. These motors were never built for service,
No.
or to be serviced really.
Yeah.
Most of them weren't. Yamaha and Impulse were,
Right.
but then they tell you how to service it, but then they don't give you any time scale when this should be done.
No.
Obviously, people don't want to look bad against their competitors, etc.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So no, what we would really like is if people just kept an ear and a feel on their motors,
Yeah.
just so that, you know, check them. You oil your chain every time you go out, so just drop the chain off the front chain ring,
Yeah.
have a listen to the motor. You'll soon know what it feels like, what it sounds like.
And of course, you've got now extra seals that you've had developed to put in motors.
Yeah, we're probably shooting ourselves in the foot with that one, because every motor we seal up, we kind of don't see it again.
Really?
Or we only
That's
see
good.
it for the bearings that can't be sealed, or we
Yeah.
don't seal.
Yeah.
We have been working very hard with that, and we've now I think we've got something now for the Bros motors, which are
Excellent.
the ones that are suffering
Good,
at the
good,
moment.
good.
So yeah, we've got some good stuff coming along.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome, it's great to see you.